Hey guys, Yummy here again. After a short vacation, I'm here once again, getting the Mastery Dog Tag for the LSAT as suggested by That Hobbit 2012 in my last Mastery Dog Tag video on the CBJ MS nail gun. And so I'll just be talking about how this weapon performs in general combat, what kind of recommendation I would give it. Now, this LMG in particular has skyrocketed in popularity along with the RPK-74M after the spring patch. Before, it was very seldomly used. It wasn't an actual terrible LMG like the RPK-74M pretty much was before the spring patch. It just didn't see that much action because there were LMGs that were just better, like the MG4, M249, M240 Bravo. They were just better choices than the LSAT, and before the patch it was just that way pretty much all of Battlefield 4's lifespan. But now, after a few extra stats were buffed up in the LSAT stats, it is now actually a pretty exceptional LMG. All the spring patch did basically for the LSAT was tweak its recoil a little bit to make it less effective, because it was basically really apparent there was tons of horizontal recoil that really got in the way of being able to kill people with this weapon. But also, this weapon was not affected as much by the general increase in spread across all of the LMGs that was experienced at the spring patch. Now, if you fire more than 3 or 4 shots in a row, the spread opens up on most LMGs so much that you can't actually hit anything with it. I mean, quite honestly, you should have been tap firing with them to begin with, especially like after experiencing Battlefield 3, in which it was almost impossible to hit anyone with LMGs if you didn't tap fire really slowly. It's basically that way again with most LMGs in Battlefield 4 if you're really just someone who pushes down the main mouse button and just sprays all over the place. You're not going to be able to hit the broadside of a barn, but with the LSAT it's actually a little bit easier to do now than with the other LMGs. A pretty interesting note, I've just been reading the spring patch notes to find out exactly what happened to the LSAT that made it so much better, and I used Control F to find the words LSAT so I can just quickly find where it was. And interestingly, it says that they added a semi-automatic firing mode for the LSAT. It's cool. I mean, I haven't actually noticed it, but I think I'm going to go in the game right after making this video and see if that's actually there. I think that'd be pretty interesting. It's kind of useless considering if you put on a bipod, this thing can snipe people across the map. But if it's there, that's just a cool feature for the game. Now back to the LSAT. Now this gun performs pretty similarly to the Type 88, which has also quickly become one of my favorite LMGs. The only real difference between the two is the Type 88 has a little bit more side-to-side recoil, but it also has 200 rounds instead of the LSAT's 100. Now with the LSAT's fast fire rate, I find myself burning through the 100 mags actually pretty quickly. I can on average pretty much go through about 5 to 7 enemies before I run out of ammo and have to reload, unless I'm really spraying all over the place and can't seem to hit guys, in which case it might be like 2 or 3, which every once in a while happens. And considering how long LMG's reloads are, you might actually have to watch the reload quite a bit, and that can get kind of annoying, but I think with the positives of this gun, it kind of outweighs just the annoyance of having to look at its reload over and over again. Part of the reason why the LSAT is so popular is that it's a tap-fire monster. You can knock headshots out across the map with this weapon. Now, it does have a lower damage model than the M240 Bravo or the M60, those really, really powerful LMGs. But it doesn't really matter with how accurate this weapon is if you tap-fire slow enough. You can pull off multiple headshots in a row if your enemy is dumb enough to stand still and practically snipe people across the map, even aided more if you have a bipod, which I was doing in the Sunken Dragon map. I think I might have had it even on the Lumpini Garden match, which was actually a redo of a previous match on Lumpini Garden that I had recorded, but Shadowplay for some reason didn't save the file, so I basically had to record all of my matches again. But thankfully this match on Lumpini Garden ended up being better. But yeah, the bipod makes LMGs pretty much overpowered. It's amazing that more people don't use the bipod. I guess it just feels too campy for certain people. But the LSAT just completely destroys people at range. It is definitely one of the better LMGs at range, and one of the better automatic weapons in the game at range, I'd say. Now, I was complaining about the reload animation earlier, and that, you know, it's just an LMG, so it has a really long reload. It's actually one of the shorter reloads of the LMGs. It's probably the shortest of all of the belt-fed LMGs, but it's still beat out by like the U100 MK5 and other magazine-fed LMGs. Of course, those are going to beat it by a lot, but in terms of belt-fed LMGs, this one's definitely on top, so it's not actually as bad as it seems like it's going to be. If you can jump behind cover real quick, you can usually get the reload animation done before the enemy rounds the corner and starts spraying you down. Sometimes you can catch them off guard by reloading really fast and just whip around the corner and kill them anyway. So it's kind of unexpected that this LMG has a quicker reload than others, but I guess in terms of it having a shorter magazine than, say, the Type 88, which has 200 rounds, it makes sense to help it a little bit with its shorter reload. Now, one problem that I have with it, which isn't really that big of a problem, is just like a slightly irritating thing that occurs when I'm using this weapon, is since this LMG does less damage than a lot of the other LMGs, or pretty much most of the LMGs actually, you see assists all the time. Like, I get more assists with this gun than almost every other gun that I've played with. It's absolutely crazy how many assists I'm racking up all the time, just because I hit guys sometimes 5 or 6 times and they won't die, and then someone finishes them off. Sometimes I hit guys a bunch of times, it seems, but then I only get like a 20 kill assist or something like that. It's just one of those assist weapons that are in the game. Some other weapons that do that are like the AS Val or some of the other low damage model PDWs. You just seem to get tons and tons of assists with them, and it can get annoying, but honestly, this isn't that big of an issue. I didn't have that big of a problem actually killing enemies with this. I just seem to get more assists than usual. So there we go, another Mastery Dogtag down and many more to go. The LSAT is a very effective weapon in combat. You can just mow down enemies with it like a lot of the other LMGs in the game. Now, on top of that, it's a tap-fire monster, and you can knock out headshots at extreme long range, especially if you're using a bipod. If you're on a wide open map, I recommend you put a bipod on this weapon, and you'll absolutely destroy. Just remember, guys, if there is a weapon you would like me to master next, just leave it down in the comment section down below. Check the description down below for weapons I have yet to master. And until next time, if you guys like this, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And this is Yummy. Goodbye, and good hunting.
Wow!